Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's the NFL podcast Laces Out. It's a little bit different this week because everybody was dotted all over the shop, and as I mentioned in the podcast, nobody wants to tune in to look at my face. So what we've done is we've gone with an audio only for this week, just to make things a little easier. YouTube watchers, you'll have to be YouTube listeners this week, I'm afraid. I'm not even going to put any pictures or anything, they'll just be the logo. So it's still the same great content, it's just audio only this week. We'll be back to video next time, I'm sure. So here we go, this is Cookiecast Laces Out. So it's about this point in time that the YouTube watchers are going, what? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to what is still the NFL podcast, Laces Out. I am your host, Mr. Cook. I am not joined by my co-host, Mr. Williams, today. However, very kindly, Mr. Williams has phoned in. Mr. Williams, which country are you in right now, or can't you say?
Say that again.
Which country are you in right now, or can't you say?
It's a country that ends in land.
Right. So check the news for any wrestlers that are assassinated in Greenland over the next 4 to 5 days.
I couldn't possibly comment on that, could I?
Well, no, you wouldn't want to incriminate yourself, clearly.
Absolutely not.
It is the NFL podcast. I promise you it is the NFL podcast. I'm here. My co-host is here in spirit. The stats mistress is in the building. She is taking care of some other business. I presume somebody else is being assassinated as we speak. She may join. All depends how the quote unquote wet work goes. So the reason that everybody on YouTube is scratching their heads right now is they're going, "Where's the video?" Well, as I've just explained, Mr. Williams isn't in the building. And although the stats mistress is, she isn't in the room. And let's face it, nobody tunes into this podcast to look at my ugly mug.
Oh.
So, I opted for a little bit of a change this week. Audio only. Let's see how this goes.
Like it.
Let's see how it
goes. I like it.
We ummed and ahed with the best way to go about this. We were thinking, because basically at some point there needs to be a break. We've got the Pro Bowl coming up this weekend, and we've got the Super Bowl coming up next weekend. There needs to be a break at some point because we can't actually cover the Pro Bowl because nobody actually cares. Excuse me. So we were going to do our break this week and then do like our Super Bowl preview next week. The OCD side of me wanted to finish up the season. Even if it is still the playoffs, I wanted to finish up and have that physical break. The I don't know what you'd call it. Entrepreneur, media mogul, these are just names that we band around, has a lot of podcasts to do next week. So, to split the difference, this is what we've got. People in different countries, but still dedicated to delivering to you, Yorkshire's #1 NFL fan base, the finest podcast quality content.
Absolutely correct.
And that's where we've ended up. So, there's not a huge amount to cover because obviously there was 2 games last week. Those 2 games was the last of the playoffs. We're not going to talk about the Pro Bowl, and we are going to talk about the preview for the Super Bowl. We've got stats. Those stats also translate to like what the end of the season looks like and what the Super Bowl is potentially going to look like. And I believe I've been told there are stats around that. There is also, because we're preparing for the Super Bowl, there's also a little bit of talk around maybe a couple of bets that might be appearing at that sort of time, and maybe getting some opinions on those bets. So yeah, that's kind of the way the format of this is going to go. Mr. Williams, have you got anything for us from the last week?
No, nothing major to get us kicked off with. Saw some clips of the Pro Skills Day or whatever it is they do at last year's Pro Bowl, which made me think that's probably more interesting than the actual Pro Bowl itself.
Have you seen that they're playing dodgeball?
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
So if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. At this point in time, I don't know whether it's worth just covering off the games really quickly, because like I say, the stats will sort of focus heavily on those games. Yep. We fell foul to this previously. The games that we had on offer was the Titans versus the Chiefs, the Packers versus the 49ers. I think there's been like conversation with various different people that there was a possibility of us seeing a Titans-Packers Super Bowl. And I think the general consensus in this house was, looks like we won't be watching the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, but I believe that nobody really wants a Titans-Packers Super Bowl. But that's my opinion. The Titans were looking real good. They're like before the game, there was so many statistics. Something like since week 9, the Titans had 44 scoring drives, or 44 drives, and of those, 43 of them resulted in a touchdown or something ridiculous like that. I'm sure that'll be in the stats.
The most ridiculous stat that I saw was the fact that when the Titans kicker came out to attempt a field goal in the first half, I think it was the first possession of the game, that was the first attempted field goal in 30-something days.
Wow.
So all of their scoring drives in the previous 2 games were touchdowns.
I mean, that is a monster of a stat right there.
That's insane.
That is insane.
So what would that mean then? That would mean that he hadn't attempted a kick since like week 16, possibly longer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, absolutely insane.
Talk about stealing a wage. Come on, mate. As avid listeners will know, these are the picks that we went with for last week. Mr. Williams went for a Chiefs victory in the Titans and Chiefs game. Myself and the Stats Mistress agreed with him. At this point in time, I realised I haven't actually revealed who won the games. The winner of the Titans versus the Chiefs game was the Chiefs, so everybody took a lovely little win from that. Packers 49ers game, this is where it got real sketchy. The Packers have the ability to win any game that they're put in, basically. The 49ers have had an amazing season. As it was, 49ers did go on to win that game quite comfortably. I think we'll sort of view that later. Mr. Williams, do you want to talk us through your thoughts around picking the Packers for that game? Obviously, we've covered it at the time, but now in hindsight...
Basically, what it boils down to is that all the way throughout the season, I've just been thinking, I don't really get this 49ers team. They don't look that good. They don't look as if they're like filled with superstars. Surely, like when they come up against a decent team, they'll be knocked off and stuff like that. And yeah, I just just felt that it was time for the pack to make it back, so to speak. Plus, there was the conspiracy theorist in me that was thinking, in the 100th NFL season, are they going to want a repeat of the very first Super Bowl? I know it's not 100 Super Bowls, but it was Super Bowl 54. However, Super Bowl 1 was between the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So it would have put a nice little bow on it for the 100th season to have been the same as the first Super Bowl. However, it wasn't to be.
That sounds very much like the sort of thing that I'd be coming up with.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go with it, to be honest with you.
As mentioned, Mr. Williams was the only person to pick the Packers to win that game. And that has unfortunately knocked him out of the running there. Me and the Stats Mistress went 49ers. So what that then led to was we all predicted a Super Bowl off the back of our predictions. Mine was Chiefs 49ers, Stats Mistress Chiefs 49ers, Mr. Williams. Yours was Chiefs Packers. Obviously at this point in time you will need to re-pick your Super Bowl.
I think it'll be the Chiefs versus the 49ers.
Do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
But what I mean is, are you still sticking with the Chiefs to win?
Is that what I said at the start of the season?
You said last week that out of a Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl, the Chiefs would win.
Now, I know at the start of the season I had picked the Chiefs.
Let me have a little look.
But I can't remember if I said Chiefs, because I went Chiefs Saints.
You did, and unfortunately you went the other way.
I went for the Saints.
Yeah, Stuart Woodmansey is still in the running to win the Week 1 prediction.
Wow.
And not only has he predicted one of the teams to be the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, he has picked the Chiefs. Also, you might be interested to hear that both you and Mr. Woodmansey are still in the running for the MVP race. I, however, am not. We won't talk about that. Do you want to stick with a Chiefs victory, or are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll still stick to the Chiefs. I think they've got the edge in the quarterback, and I think it could very much come down to a quarterback shootout in this particular game.
I'd agree with you there. What I will say, and I've already said this week. I know you are relying heavily on Mr. Mahomes to win this Super Bowl, but what I will say is Super Bowls are won on defense, and the Chiefs' defense looked, to borrow your phrase, porous. At the weekend, I'm like, right, the defense have got to stop Henry. They'll just put 3 men on him. He's not going to get any ground. He's walked through. He's walked through. Okay. Tannehill was managing to pass the ball past the defense. It looked real sketchy. I do agree. I do think that Mahomes has got enough about him to, I want to say, lead that team to victory. It feels a little bit like drag that team to victory. I'm not saying they're awful. You know, they've got some amazing players. I firmly believe that the Honey Badger was definitely worth his weight in gold in that game at the weekend. But I will always come back to Super Bowls are won on defense.
I suppose. But saying that, if you go back to the Eagles-Pats Super Bowl from a couple of years ago, that was a bit of a blowout, and it just ended up being the team that had the hot hand the most times. Yeah. So we could just have another one of them games, to be fair, which I would be very much up for.
Well, I've said a few times that to a few people, I honestly think this is the year. If you have, listen to me now, people, if you've got a friend out there that has ever been sat on the fence around the NFL, or if you've got a friend that you want to get into the NFL, now is the time. Sit them down for the Super Bowl, because you might be in for what is shaping up to be one of the best Super Bowls in a long time. This has the possibility to be an absolute worldy game. That's just my opinion, and as always, I will give you my opinion where I feel it's it's needed. So that is that. Have you got anything else from the last week, or going into? I mean, have you got anything about the Pro Bowl?
Not that I've seen. I saw a couple of things on Twitter last night that said Deshaun Watson's been added to the Pro Bowl list.
Yes, he's has he turned up today?
No, it might be today, or he might have just been like yesterday. But yeah, he's only just recently been added. So.
Right. I felt like I'd seen him on a video earlier today milling around. Something that has popped up, I don't know if this is going to be in the stats, but something that has popped up, was it yesterday? Eli Manning announced his retirement. Yeah. I mean, like you said at the time.
I think it was he's expected to announce his retirement. I don't think he's actually come out and said
it. Oh, I thought he'd actually given the pulled the pin, so to speak.
No, I think he's still in the process of doing so.
Right. Okay. Right. At this point in time, I'm now trying to work out. Oh, it's as easy as that. Apparently, I was trying to work out if I could get into the stats. Yes, that's how I feel as well. So, let me have a little look here. Okay. I have stats. And I believe I've had a follow-up to this. Let me just double check. Here we go. Stats for the Super Bowl. And yes, a little bit of betting involved. Are there only 9? No, I've got more than that. Sorry, I'm just jumping around all over the place here. Right, okay, so I've got... Give me 1 second, because I've got 2 sets of stats here and I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
Talk me through it.
Right. Yep, I almost have absolutely no idea what I'm looking at here. So I presume I've had 2 emails attach themselves to each other. So I'm going to go from the latest one, and we'll just have to try and muddle through it. These were loosely provided by the stats mistress, and they were provided to her by Nate Davis of USA Today. This is entitled Last Week's Games. Number 1. Since the 49ers failed to draft Aaron Rodgers in the 2005 draft, they've reached the Super Bowl twice. The Packers have gone once in that same game span. San Francisco is now also 3-0 against Rodgers in the playoffs. I noticed that video had emerged of Aaron Rodgers talking about him not getting drafted by the 49ers, and him saying that they'd be sorry that they didn't draft him.
Yeah, I don't know if they are. That's the thing, innit?
No, at this point in time, I'm a bit like, I don't know if they are. Number 2, Rodgers, however, now has 40 touchdown passes in 19 career playoff games, whereas Brett Favre had 39 touchdown passes in 22 playoff starts for Green Bay. So he's obviously surpassed that. Number 3, Damian Williams is an undrafted Dolphins cast-off who essentially replaced Kareem Hunt a year ago. Now has 9 playoff touchdowns, tying Tyrell Davis and Larry Fitzgerald for most in a player's first 5 postseason games. Nice work. Number 4, given the apparent serious nature of running back Tevin Coleman's shoulder injury Sunday, Super Bowl, 40?
54.
That's it. 54 will likely be the first game Mostert will start in his NFL career. Mostert was cut by 6 teams before sticking in San Francisco in 2016 and became the first player to rush for at least 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in a playoff game. Mostert's 220 yards on the ground broke Colin Kaepernick's team record, 181, for a postseason game. He is also the first to run for 4 touchdowns in a conference championship game. Nice. Number 5, the 49ers have now run 89 times for 471 yards in their pair of playoff wins this year. Number 6, Mahomes, the NFL's 2018 MVP, has done a great impression of Lamar Jackson in these playoffs. Rushing for a team-high 53 yards in each of Kansas City's wins, Mahomes' scintillating 27-yard touchdown run in the second quarter against Tennessee gave Kansas City a lead in it never relinquished. That run was awesome.
It was rather good, yes.
I think it was the fact that he was like, I need to throw the ball. Oh, I'll just move over a bit. Oh, I need to throw the ball. I'll just move over a bit more. Well, I mean, at this point, I might as well run it. And he starts running down the side, and then he's like, right, I need to cut back across. I mean, at this point, I could probably go for a touchdown. And it's the 3 players that tried to stop him at the end. He was like, nah, too late, boys, I'm going through.
The best thing was that obviously he got the first down, and then he got to about 5 yards out, and there was still like 2 or 3 players in front of him. So he obviously just went, bollocks! I'm just going to try and I'm just going to hope for the best here.
Yeah, it was
and he forward his way in. So
it's like, I'll go for it and see how it works out, and how it worked out was a touchdown. Number 7. What a comeback for Garoppolo, whose 2018 season prematurely ended in week 3 when he ripped up his knee in Kansas City. Worth noting, he hasn't had to work too hard this month, throwing just 8 passes Sunday after attempting 19 in the divisional round win over Minnesota. San Francisco became only the 3rd team in playoff history to attempt fewer than 10 passes in a playoff game. That's crazy.
Somehow I can't see that being the same case in the Super Bowl.
Oh, there's no way. Number 8, Niners cornerback Richard Sherman, formerly star of the Legion of Boom, now has the chance to win a 2nd ring before any of his former Seahawks teammates. So, a couple of things. Number 1, at this point in time, which is useful to not have the cameras up, I'm actually wearing a Richard Sherman jersey. I think I'm pretty sure I mentioned this to you. Was it yesterday where we talk about Richard Sherman is definitely drinking his own Kool-Aid. He is barking mad. If anybody has the opportunity to go and have a look at some of the videos that have been floating around the last couple of weeks where Richard Sherman's just being interviewed by people and he is insane. Try and find the one where he just keeps going on about somebody talking about him, and the woman interviewing him's like, who's talking about you? It's bonkers. He is quite mad.
He's a strange lad.
And strangely enough, the 9th and last stat for last week's games. Sunday's NFC Championship match of Garoppolo and Rodgers was the first that paired two quarterbacks who never started in their first two NFL seasons. Interesting. That might be the end of the stats for the week, but as I said, we're going to set up the Super Bowl. So I have stats for the Super Bowl. Number 1. This Super Bowl should be an enjoyable study of contrasts. The Chiefs' quick strike attack, triggered by quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and the Niners' throwback formula, which relies on a relentless ground attack and an exceptional defence that is very hard to throw against. Ooh, just those combinations. I'm telling you, this could be the Super Bowl to end all Super Bowls. It's shaping up to be an absolute monster. Number 2, the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl for the first time since they won the Super Bowl 4? Yeah, following the 1969 season. San Francisco joins the 1988 Bengals and the 99 Rams as the only team to reach the Super Bowl a year after winning 4 or fewer games. The Rams won Super Bowl, that must be 34, while the Bengals lost Super Bowl 23 to Joe Montana's 49ers. Number 3, the Niners are now one win from securing their 6th Lombardi Trophy, which would tie them with the Steelers and Patriots for most ever. Number 4, Super Bowl 54 also represents a redemptive opportunity for Kyle Shanahan, the target of significant criticism after the Atlanta Falcons. He was their offensive coordinator, infamously fumbled a 28-3 advantage to the Patriots in Super Bowl 51. Shanahan's final game before getting his current job. Obviously, I think I mentioned to a couple of people there's been a fair few memes flying around about that. And 5th and final, Andy Reid, the Chiefs coach, has 221 NFL wins, including playoffs, most ever by a man who has not won the Super Bowl. That's just bonkers. Yet. Those are the stats for last week's games and the upcoming Super Bowl. Mr. Williams, anything that was missed in the stats?
No, it's not really a stat as such. It's just that I think the battle between Richard Sherman and Tyreek Hill could be the key to the game for me.
Yeah.
I think if the Chiefs can somehow manage to figure out a way to consistently beat Sherman on that sort of corner, then they'll be looking pretty healthy. Yeah.
I noticed that they were moving Sherman around at the weekend. They moved him from his position.
Yeah, they covered this on the Sky Sports coverage that what good quarterbacks will do is they won't keep their eyes on the receivers. They'll basically know where the receiver's going to be, and what they'll do is they'll keep their eyes on the safety or the cornerback to try and move them away from where they want the receiver to be. So, for example, if you've got a guy who's running a route where he's going to be going to sort of the right corner, you want to be getting the safety off to the left somewhere, or you want to drag him up the field So I think what Aaron Rodgers was doing, obviously it didn't work to a great extent, but he was basically moving the safeties and the cornerbacks by using his eyes to sort of portray where he was going to be sort of looking to throw the ball. And obviously Mahomes is like pretty famous at this point for a lot of no-look passes. So that could be interesting to see how he gets on with that.
I mean, I know I keep saying it, I know I keep hammering it home, I know that, I keep going on about it, but this is potentially going to be an absolute worldie.
Oh yeah, big time.
So, at this time of year, this is one of the few times of the year where I will actually top up my betting account. And I'll have a little flutter. I don't think I've ever actually... I always end up in that position where I've got where you've got £6 in your Sky Bet account, and over the next 2 weeks bet on 900 horses at 25p a go until I've got no money left. We here at Cookiecast have picked out some of the favourite bets to bet on at this time of year, and just for a little bit of fun, Mr. Williams, I think we'll have a little in-house go on this.
Absolutely.
Some of them are a little bit open to interpretation, so if you want to give us what you think that should be. For example, the first one I've got on my list is the result of the coin toss.
As in, what do you mean? As in it'll be heads or tails, or the Chiefs or Niners will win it, or...
So that's what I mean. It's a little bit open to interpretation, so you can either have heads or tails, which I can't imagine that really makes much of a difference, or who will get the coin toss.
Do you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs will lose the coin toss.
So you want the 49ers...
Well, just basically, it'll be a case of, I reckon the Chiefs will get to call it. Oh, no, hang on. So, because it's in Miami, and Miami's an AFC stadium, apparently the Chiefs are the home team.
Okay.
So that should mean that the Chiefs will play in red, and the 49ers should play in their white jerseys, I think.
Uh-huh.
So it might be that as the designated road team, the Niners might get the chance to call the coin toss.
Probably.
So I might have to change that to the 49ers will lose the coin toss.
49ers will lose. I will get the Stats Mistress responses to these. I agree with you on this one. I think that the Chiefs are it's gonna be the first part of the way they go about sort of doing it. I think the Chiefs will end up winning the coin toss. Next one on my list is the first team to score. Mr. Williams.
Chiefs.
Okay. I agree. I think that the Chiefs are going to score early, and I think that there's going to be a steady backwards and forwards throughout the game, resulting in either, and I'm saying this now, possibility of overtime, or by the end of the game it's like a 1-score difference. Oh, maybe I don't have to wait until I get the Stats Mistress's picks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Stats Mistress is officially in the room.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What's up?
Do you just quickly want to tell us who you think will win or lose the coin toss?
I think the 49ers will win the coin toss.
49ers will win.
Ooh.
What goes against? And who do you think will be the first team to score?
Chiefs.
Everybody on that one.
Who?
Why don't you tell us who you think will be winning at the half time?
The Chiefs.
Okay. I'm going to mix it up here. I think at half-time, the 49ers will enter the locker room ahead. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Winning at half-time team is?
Kansas City Chiefs.
I'd get a little one there.
Oh, actually, no.
Ooh.
Can I change that?
No.
You can.
Tied.
Tied.
Yeah.
For a man who loves wins by disqualification.
Just because the last 2 games, the Chiefs have either sort of been like into the second quarter, down by like 2 or 3 touchdowns, and have scored 2 or 3 touchdowns in the game, or in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. Obviously, I've got winners here written down from our other prediction. The next bet is who you think is going to win. Would you like me to just take your picks from the what I've got already? Would make sense.
Okay.
Is it just the Chiefs all
It's the Chiefs across the board. Do you want to keep that pick?
Yes.
So, yeah, everyone's happy with that?
Yeah.
This is for the money, though. Okay.
It's not actual money, though.
Oh, there is. It's £1 to go.
I was going to say, is it 50%?
I see.
And whoever has the majority by the end of the game wins all the money.
I see.
What will be the score differential? I'm going to go first on this one, and I'm going to say 7 points.
Okay.
Stats mistress.
I'm going to go with 14.
14. Woof. Mr. Williams.
Chiefs by 4.
He's even called it. Chiefs, 4 points. A nice little one that I always have a punt on, and there was that one year that I got it right. The colour of the Gatorade that is dumped on the winning coach. Mr. Williams.
I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go for... Now, I don't know if I'm allowed yellow/orange.
Ooh, I feel that might be edging a little bit of bets there. I'm gonna.
I'll go orange then.
So that's 2 different colours.
I am going with the colour that I always pick.
Purple.
Purple, by any chance?
Purple. Stats mistress.
I'm going with green.
Oh, another good choice. And again, this is one of those. Me and Mr. Williams have already had a pick of this right at the start of the season. Mine is void, but Mr. Williams, would you like me to carry over your Super Bowl MVP?
Now, that wasn't the Super Bowl MVP, was it? I thought that was the league MVP.
Oh, now then you might have a point.
Yeah.
All I've got written down is MVP.
That would be the league MVP.
That's
Yeah,
league.
I think we picked the league MVP.
Okay, so Super Bowl.
This is still up to debate. If the Chiefs win, I don't see any way that it can't be Mahomes.
It has to be, doesn't it?
Kelsey?
However,
yeah,
for the sake of this little sort of ditty, we could say that we're not. Each one of us is not allowed to pick Mahomes.
We could.
But you're not going to?
I was already leaning towards Kelsey.
Yeah, I want Tyreek Hill.
Oh.
So we've got Kelsey, we've got Hill. Are we saying we can't pick quarterbacks or just Mahomes?
If you don't think the Chiefs are going to win it, you go for who you think, my friend.
Do you know what? I'm going to go way, way out.
Are you going to go for Tyrann Mathieu?
Honey
Hey,
Badger.
interesting.
You're lucky I didn't go for T-Sizzle.
Oh, my word.
So, at this point in time, it's £1 for all of your bets. Mr. Williams, are you in agreement?
Exquisite.
Well,
Have we put a first touchdown scorer in there?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. No, we did have etc. written at the end. Do you want to get a slice of this? First.
Can I have Travis Kelce, please?
Oh, wow. Okay. Stats Mistress.
That would have been my...
Put it down then.
The current betting favourite for first touchdown is Damian Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Was he mentioned in one of the stats?
he was. Tell you what, I'll split the difference with you. I'll have Williams.
Not Paul.
Paul Williams to score first.
Correct answer. Paul Williams, first touchdown scorer.
Any other bets you want added to this list?
No, but there are some interesting on the Sky Bet website. There is some interesting Super Bowl 54 commentator bingo and novelty specials.
Things that they will say.
So for the commentator bingo, it says that the market is settled on exact phrases said by either commentator Joe Buck or Troy Aikman during Super Bowl 54. Exact phrases must be said between kickoff and the game clock expiring. Words said before the kickoff or after the game has ended do not count. So, 500 to 1 on, so meaning if you put on £500, you will get £1 back for the commentators to say the word flag. Or touchdown.
Wow.
So some of the better ones.
Go on.
So the highest odds you can currently get is 80 to 1 on the commentators to say the phrase split or steal.
Give me something at
cheat.
Give me something at like a 50 to 1.
Oh well, there's a Bill Belichick in there at 33 to 1.
That sounds like
Fumble.
But fumble. I want that one.
But fumble at 25s.
Yes.
That's awesome.
He could go all the way. 16 to 1.
Oh, that's it.
Right, I've Bagsied but fumble.
Brexit 12 to 1. Topical.
Okay.
Just the phrase swag at 8 to 1.
That's more likely to come out when they're walking to the podium, so that'll be after the game clock's expired.
Yeah. They've got something called They Think It's All Over on there, and that's 25 to 1. I'll have that, please.
They think it's all over. It is now. What have you got?
I guess I'll go with that all the way one.
Give me the exact wording.
He could go all the way.
He could go all the way. Anything else we want adding to this list before we close the book?
No, I'd say we've pretty much covered it.
Right, pounds in the next time we're all together, and whoever gets the majority of these bets correct walks away with a whopping
£3 English.
Oh, I thought you meant £1 per bet. Like we owed £7 or something.
Wow. I mean,
Just
that's a little rich for my
We can always round it. We can always round it to a 5.
A 5. Let's call it 5. I'm writing 5 down.
Wow.
I'll have 5. I'm happy to go 5 because that's 15 quid.
Someone could walk away with 15 quid.
And everyone else walks away with nothing. Just like if you're James Panas, who's potentially going to walk away with a nice tidy winner for a game he knows almost nothing about.
And cares even less about.
Yeah. Mr. Williams, do you have anything else before we wrap up our pre-season, post-season, pre-Super Bowl preview podcast show?
I have nothing further.
I have nothing further.
I do. I have something.
Oh, here we go.
Everybody's seen that there is a further arrest warrant out for Antonio Brown
Oh dear God.
for burglary and like actual bodily harm.
Jeez.
But it's a felony charge.
So the FBI are after him then?
Well, it's police, I
It was
think.
nice knowing you, Antonio. Thanks for
Apparently,
coming.
a removal van that had his stuff in it, he was supposed to pay $4,000 upon the delivery driver's arrival, and he refused to pay. Then threw a rock at the van. Later agreed to actually pay the £4,000 and money for the van to get repaired so that he could get his stuff out the back of the van. And when the delivery driver turned up, he paid him the $4,000 but wouldn't pay him any money to repair the van, and then assaulted him, and his trainer was involved as well.
He's clearly not mentally well, but he's going to end up going to jail. He's going to end up in prison in the very near future for doing stupid shit.
Yep.
He's bonkers.
Madness.
So that's the old CTE there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Right, if nobody's got anything else,
No, just thought I'd throw that one in.
I'll wrap it up there. Mr. Williams, I say to you, good hunting, sir. I'll check the newspapers over the next few days. I'm sure you won't miss.
I rarely do.
Well, just ask the Ultimate Warrior. Right,
Oh dear.
that's it from me, and I'll say bye, and I'll see you then.
Cheerio.
Check out the Super Bowl, people. It's going to be a worldie. Bye.
Well,
So there we go. What do you think of that? A little bit different, but still the same great content. What's your Super Bowl prediction? Now's the time to get it in. Let us know. We'll even add you to the betting pool if you've got a good set of predictions. YouTube watchers, or YouTube listeners this week, like, share and comment anyway. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Send us some love. So here we go. This is almost the end of the NFL season for now. Time to put our toys away for another few months. But yeah, there'll still be great Cookiecast content coming your way. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.